Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Monsters, Legends, and Conspiracies, where we dive deep into the eerie, the unexplained, and the supernatural. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're taking a trip to one of the most infamous hotels in the world. A place where history meets the paranormal. A hotel so haunted, it inspired Stephen King's The Shining. That's right. We're talking about the Stanley Hotel. From spectral sightings to unexplained phenomena, the Stanley has long been a hotbed for supernatural occurrences. So buckle up, because we're going to explore its history, its hauntings, and the mysteries that surround this legendary establishment. Let's get started. To understand the mystery of the Stanley Hotel, we first have to look at its history. The hotel was built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, co-inventor of the Stanley steamer automobile. Stanley came to Estes Park, Colorado in the early 1900s, seeking a place to recover from tuberculosis, a disease that was ravaging much of the population at the time. Doctors told him that the mountain air might help ease his condition, and so, in true entrepreneurial spirit, Stanley not only recovered, but also saw an opportunity to build a grand hotel for the elite. The Stanley Hotel was designed to be a luxurious retreat for wealthy guests from the East Coast, and it quickly became a symbol of elegance and refinement. But despite its luxurious beginnings, the Stanley Hotel would soon become known for something far more sinister. It wasn't long after its construction that reports of ghostly apparitions and strange noises began to surface. Now, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for: the hauntings. The Stanley Hotel is one of the most active paranormal hotspots in America. Guests and staff alike have reported countless ghostly encounters over the years. One of the most famous spirits is that of Freeland Stanley himself. It's said that his ghost still roams the halls of the hotel. Guests have reported seeing his apparition, often accompanied by his wife Flora, in various parts of the building. The Stanley's former concert hall seems to be one of their favorite haunts, where Flora can sometimes be heard playing the piano. And then there's room 217, the room that inspired Stephen King's The Shining. In 1911, a housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson was involved in a gas explosion in this very room. She survived, but was severely injured. Ever since, guests who stay in room 217 have reported strange occurrences: suitcases being unpacked on their own, lights flickering, and even the feeling of an invisible presence in the room. But it's not just the Stanleys or Elizabeth who haunt the hotel. There's also the mischievous spirit of a young boy who's been spotted running through the hallways. He's known to play pranks on guests, especially in the middle of the night. People have reported hearing giggling, feeling their blankets being pulled, and finding their belongings moved. Let's not forget the concert hall, where many guests have reported seeing the apparition of a man named Paul, a former handyman who worked at the hotel. His ghost has been known to flicker lights, move objects, and even whisper, "Get out," to guests who stay too long. Perhaps one of the most famous pieces of the Stanley Hotel's lore is its connection to Stephen King. In the 1970s, King and his wife, Tabitha, stayed at the Stanley Hotel during the off-season. As the only guests in the entire building, the eerie atmosphere left a lasting impression on him. In fact, they stayed in the infamous room 217. King has recounted how he wandered the empty hallways, felt an oppressive sense of isolation, and had a vivid nightmare that would later become the basis for The Shining. In his dream, his young son was running through the halls, chased by a fire hose that had come to life. When King woke up, he had the entire framework of the novel in his mind. the isolation of the hotel, the haunting atmosphere, and the ghostly occurrences all fed into the creation of the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Although the novel is fiction, many elements were inspired by real-life events and experiences at the Stanley. So, while the Stanley Hotel may not have the same murderous history as its fictional counterpart, its influence on one of the greatest horror novels of all time cements its place in paranormal history. Today, the Stanley Hotel embraces its haunted reputation. The hotel offers nightly ghost tours, where guests can explore some of the most haunted spots on the property. Visitors often report feeling cold spots, seeing strange lights, and even capturing eerie figures in their photos. Several paranormal investigation teams have visited the hotel, including the popular TV shows Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. During their investigations, they've captured audio recordings of disembodied voices, sudden drops in temperature, and objects moving on their own. Guests and investigators alike have been drawn to room 401, where there's said to be a spirit known as Lord Dunraven, a previous owner of the land. People staying in this room have reported hearing footsteps, seeing shadow figures, and even feeling the presence of an invisible entity. If you're a skeptic, the Stanley's reputation might still leave you with questions. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, there's no denying that something about the Stanley Hotel just feels different. Some chalk it up to its history, others to the power of suggestion. But for many, the eerie experiences they've had at the Stanley are all too real. So, what's really going on at the Stanley Hotel? Is it haunted? Or is there another explanation for the strange occurrences? Paranormal experts have a few theories. One popular explanation is that the hotel's isolation in the mountains, coupled with its rich history, creates the perfect conditions for hauntings. Some believe that traumatic events, like Elizabeth Wilson's accident, can leave an imprint on a place, leading to residual hauntings. These types of hauntings don't involve intelligent spirits, but are more like recordings of past events that play over and over. Others believe the Stanley's ghostly activity is due to its age and the many lives that have passed through its halls. With over a century of history, it's possible that the energy of past guests and staff has left a permanent mark on the hotel. Of course, there are skeptics who believe that many of the stories are just the result of overactive imaginations. After all, when you're staying at a famously haunted hotel, it's easy to let your mind play tricks on you. Whatever the explanation, the Stanley Hotel remains a place of mystery and intrigue, drawing both believers and non-believers alike. So what do you think? Is the Stanley Hotel really haunted? Or is it all just a product of suggestion and folklore? Whatever your beliefs, there's no denying the impact the Stanley has had on the world of the paranormal and horror fiction. It's a place where history, legend, and the supernatural intertwine, creating an atmosphere that is both beautiful and unsettling. Whether you're visiting to experience the luxury or to catch a glimpse of the ghostly residents, the Stanley Hotel promises an unforgettable stay. That's it for today's episode of Monsters, Legends, and Conspiracies. Thanks for joining me as we explored the mystery surrounding the Stanley Hotel. If you've ever visited the Stanley or had a paranormal experience of your own, I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to follow us on social media and share your ghost stories. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, there's always more to the story than meets the eye. See you in the next episode.